What is the worst date / time you've ever had at a film?
This was the hardest one
Okay.
because I've not really had many times where I've gone to the cinema on a date. I think you only really make those mistakes really when you're early on in your dating career. Mm-hmm. When you're, late teens, early 20s, whatever. That's just me. Other people might have been dating a lot earlier than that, but and I'll be like, let's go to the cinema.
You certainly made up for lost time.
Thank you, Brett. But you'd be sitting there in the cinema thinking, why have I suggested we come here? We're not even talking to each other. And then you just don't make those mistakes anymore. So, there was stuff like Day After Tomorrow. I remember going to see on a date when I was late teens. I actually went on a date to see The Breakup, the Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Aniston film. First date, go to see The Breakup. I remember even thinking to myself while watching it, this is going to be a great story when we're married. So the first thing we saw together was The Breakup. But I didn't really, I didn't like those films, I didn't hate them. It wasn't a bad experience. I thought about saying Snowtown, because that was me and you going to see that, but I didn't hate that film. It was you hating it, and then you leaving with PTSD and me just being like, I just thought it's quite a well-made film about a horrible thing.
I did have PTSD about that film.
Yeah, but it really, really affected you in a bad way. Yeah. I would say, so I'm just going to go by the relationship I'm in now and the worst film we went to see together. Just it was early on in the relationship. I remember being angry that we'd seen it was such a long film. And at the time, actually still now, I just started seeing this person. All I wanted to do was be around her, talk to her. And now this fucking film is getting in the way. And we're sitting here, and this is 3 hours fucking long. I just want to talk to her, and this is bullshit. And that film was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which can absolutely... I think it's his worst film. I hate it. I think it's shit. I think that everyone who likes it is an idiot. It's one of the only films I feel that way about. Most things you go, it's subjective. And with that one, I'm like, no, you're wrong. It's bad. It's bad by his own rules. It's bad. And it's like he doesn't know why his previous films were good and why they worked. That's what annoys me about it.
What are his rules?
Well, not rules, but it's like, sometimes people make something, it could be anything, a stand-up show, book, whatever. And they kind of organically discover it and they make this thing and they really engage with it and it's great. And then they try and replicate it and they just replicate what's on the surface without thinking about why they made all those decisions in the first place. And I was watching goddamn Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And most people complain with that film about the acting stuff, about him being an actor and him being on set doing the scenes. And they're like, oh, that bit's so slow and blah, blah, blah. I like those bits.
Yeah, that is bits.
I think that should have been the film. The film should have been this guy is a struggling actor and his relationship with his stuntman and just them on sets and them talking to different actors and just do that film. Mm-hmm. But instead he's like, no, God, I did Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained, which I thought were both great. And he's like, I've got to do that again. Oh, well, I'm doing a Hollywood film, so I've got to do a Hollywood one. Oh, there was the Manson family. I'll do that. Now, look, that's fine. If you want to do that, do that. But
no judgment here.
No pun intended here. The execution was absolutely atrocious. Here's why, Bradley.
Let's hear.
Here's why. And I am angry about it. I'm still angry about it to this day because every time I hear people go on about it being brilliant, it really makes me angry. Mm-hmm. In Inglourious Basterds and in Django Unchained,
yes,
even though he doesn't need to. Mm-hmm. He shows you why the bad guys are bad. He doesn't really need to show you why the Nazis are bad. We all know that. He doesn't really need to show you why slave owners are bad. But he does it. And he goes, just so you know, the pieces of shit. And not just the group, but the specific characters we're dealing with in the film are bad people. And here's them doing bad things, and here's why you should hate them. So you're like, right, now, he doesn't need to do that with those films. Because they're two of the biggest bad groups in history. So we already know that going in. But then he does this one, and it's the Manson family, which not everyone knows about, right? I know they did some bad shit. I don't know all the details of it. I know they're not good, but they're not as notorious, I'm going to say, as Nazis and slave owners. Those people have been heavily discussed. We know that they're the worst people ever. And in the Manson family, it's like, oh, what did they do again? And then in this film, all he shows you is they're a bunch of dirty hippies. So he doesn't like that. And Brad Pitt goes onto the ranch, and at no point on the ranch do any of them do anything bad. They're all hanging out, and he doesn't like it. Brad Pitt's like, I don't like this fucking bunch of fucking hippies. And he's walking around, and he's saying to them, like, the fuck you doing on this ranch? And they're like, the guy said we could be here. I doubt it. Just doesn't believe him. Then he goes in, and the guy's like, yeah, I did actually. I did say they could be here. Oh, Bruce Dern. And it's like, oh. And then Brad Pitt goes out, and one of them's put a knife in his tyre, because fair enough. Because as far as we're concerned as the audience, if you didn't tell me it was the Manson family, I'll be like, yeah, this guy's allowing them to hang out on the ranch. Big old Brad Pitt, who seems like a Tory, by the way, has decided, also, who may have murdered his wife. We'll get onto that in a minute. Yeah, he's decided he doesn't like them. He's been proved wrong that they are allowed to be in there. So one of them's gone, go fuck yourself. And then he beats them up. It's so violently, it's fucking nuts.
So violently.
Knocks their teeth out or some shit. Drives away. And you're meant to go, yeah, good on you. And like at one point, like one of them, like, you know, goes to get the person who's on a little horse ride. He goes, he's beating up our friend. And he gets back on his horse. He's there too late because Brad Pitt's driven away. So I've not been told why any of these people are arseholes yet. And at one point, Manson has shown up at the house and just looked at, is it Sharon Tate?
Yes.
He just looked at her, and that's it. They haven't shown you anything else that's happened there, even though we know what happened there in real life. But like, he just has a little look, and he goes, so they're not doing it nearly anywhere near as much as they did with the bad guys in those other films. And bearing in mind, yeah, with Sharon Tate, obviously she's not in it enough. Margot Robbie's not given enough to do, and you know, she is the real life person in it who was the victim in real life. So like, they're not really doing her any kind of sort. They're doing her a massive disservice throughout the film. Also, you know,
not doing her any favours. Yeah,
no, not doing her any favours actually. And Brad Pitt, main character, main goodie, who you're supposed to think is awesome. There's this whole thing of like, he may have murdered his wife, and they pretty much make it that yeah, he did. He did. He harpooned her at the sea, and she's fucking dead. And that's like, sorry, Quentin. Your good guy in this film is a guy who killed a woman, is it? That's your goodie. And also, at one point, he's on set, and Kurt Russell's there going, I'm sorry, my nagging wife, Zoe Bell, she's such a nag, because she's proper nag. She's such a nag. She doesn't like you being on set because you killed your wife. So she's a nag. So fuck women all the way through it. At the end, when they do the whole, you know, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the ending of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but they give you 3 characters, 2 of whom you've not seen before, of the Manson family. One of whom you have, but it was just the nice guy who was riding a horse earlier and wanted to defend his mate. So none of them have done anything wrong yet. They're in the car, they're planning, okay, we're going to go in, and they're kind of planning the murder. But again, like, you don't really know these people. You've not seen most of them for the whole film. And then they walk into the house, like, okay, we're going to do it. And then they change their mind at the last minute and go, actually, let's go in this house and do it there. So the characters in this film aren't even going to go in there. They decide instead to go in there. So they don't even go in a house because they decide we're going to go in there. Then they go in DiCaprio's house, and there's 2 women and 1 man. And the man gets bitten by a doggy, and the women get absolutely turned to pate. It's some of the most violent stuff I've ever seen in a Tarantino film. One gets absolutely like burnt to death in a swimming pool. The other gets her face repeatedly smashed into a coffee table until it's a pulp and there's nothing left. And that is how he deals with, yeah, fuck you for killing Sharon Tate. I'm now going to absolutely just horrifically butcher 2 women who you have not got to know throughout the film. You've not seen them do anything. They've done nothing. So you've not even seen, I haven't done like I did with the Nazis, when I wanted you to see why they were bad. With these 2, they're just, all you need to know is there were 2 women who might have gone in a house, and that's it. And now we've done this to them. And at the end, when Brad Pitt's character's getting in the ambulance, DiCaprio's like, you're a good man. That's like the line. And then he goes away. And then everyone's like, what a great film. It's like, no, that is abhorrent. And I was absolutely furious by the end of it. And it was the most angry I've come out of a film when I've been on a date. Luckily, my girlfriend was also angry about it. We got to both rant about it together and be like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But like, I hate that people like it, and I also, and I even hate. I hate that people like it, but I hate it when people aren't angry about it. When people just go, "No, it's all right." No. You should be furious about that film. You should be absolutely livid about that shit. Everything that people have said to Tarantino over the years about the violence in his films, that I just think is like, often it's like Tory nonsense having a go at him sometimes. With this, it's like, no, this is the thing. This is what they should be angry about, is this piece of shit. And then never mind beating up Bruce Lee and humiliating him in it, which was the main thing people were angry about, apparently, online. Which, I mean, absolutely be angry about that. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff in that film that I was like, people not going to be angry about that
You're
as well?
really burying the lead with the Bruce Lee stuff.
Yeah.
What, if you could live in the world of one film, which would it be?
Oh, fair enough. We're done with that bit now. I would say, this might seem like a...
If you're about to say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, then I would help the Manson family kill Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt.